In the early morning hours of Monday, March 29th, 2021, the patient was sitting down watching television when he started to feel like his heart was racing, accompanied by a tightness in his chest. The patient had never felt this way before and knew something was wrong. He communicated his concerns to his wife, and the decision was made to call 911 for assistance. Paramedic Engine 704 and Ambulance 704 were dispatched to the residence in Silver Spring, Maryland. When the crews arrived on the scene, they found the patient sitting on the stairs of his residence and presented an obvious discomfort with pallor, weakness, and diaphoresis. The clinicians on the scene quickly determined that the patient needed immediate intervention. The crew began to assess vital signs, administered aspirin, and placed him on a cardiac monitor. He was hypotensive and had an initial rhythm of ventricular tachycardia with a heart rate of 230 beats a minute. Due to the patient's unstable and symptomatic condition, the decision was made to cardioversion him at 100 joules. After the cardioversion, the patient lost consciousness. His cardiac rhythm changed to torsades de pointe, and he was no longer had a pulse or respirations. The crews immediately started CPR. During the first pulse check, the rhythm had changed to ventricular fibrillation, and the patient was defibrillated. After defibrillation, the patient converted to a sinus arrhythmia with a rate of 80, and he woke up. He became responsive, alert, and oriented. A 12-lead EKG was obtained, and vascular access was obtained in both arms, and he was administered fluid. En route to the hospital, the crews continued to monitor and reevaluate the patient's condition. They consulted with White Oak Medical Center, and upon arrival to the hospital, care was transferred to the hospital staff. The patient was taken to the cath lab. No obstruction was found, and he was later implanted with a cardioverter defibrillator. And thanks to the teamwork, skills, and knowledge of Montgomery County Fire Rescue and White Oak Medical Center, the patient was discharged home neurologically intact on March 31st. That's just 2 days after. So the patient couldn't be here today, but he would like to thank the responders who saved his life, and he wrote a letter.
So unfortunately I cannot attend, but would like to offer this little spoof of the events as my way of thanking the 6 individuals that saved my life. Humor is a big part of my life, and I will attempt to use every bit of it. So my story. On March 29th, 2021, at approximately 2:30 a.m., 6 individuals broke into my house posing as EMS technicians. They quickly overpowered me and secured me to a bed and proceeded to use techniques on me worse than waterboarding. While 3 of the intruders were pretending to be busy, the biggest of the crew stuck a grenade up my butt when I wasn't looking. Only warning I got from him was, "This might hurt a little." What an understatement, sheesh. But lucky for me, after he blew my butt apart, I went to sleep. What a peaceful sleep. Slept so good I couldn't feel any of the torture techniques that they proceeded to use on me. I could, however, hear them. But I was numb, I guess, from seeing my kneecaps fly past my head. Now I know what a bug must feel like when it hits my windshield. After I woke up, they quickly ushered me out the door to the waiting stolen ambulance they had. Once being thrown into the back of the wagon, all strapped in place, the maniac driving sped away. I am baffled and confused, but I smiled because it took 6 of them to kidnap me. Me, an old man, and it took 6 of them. Ha! I tried to relax and not panic for how the crazed driver was driving, and for a few minutes did okay. But then the 2 guys in the back with me jumped on the bed and strapped themselves in also. I thought, oh Lord, this ain't gonna be good. I'm kind of dazed from the grenade incident, but I realized that there's some pretty hard bumps along the way. I had no idea where they were taking me, but nothing I could do about it anyhow. After about 10 minutes, we pulled up in front of what I believe was a cartel drug house. So this is why I was held hostage in the back of the stolen ambulance, because they didn't want me to know the location of it. They don't fool me. Quickly, I was whisked inside, still hogtied, and zoomed down different hallways. The 4 bandits always stayed with me behind the bed, so I couldn't recognize their faces. So I knew they had done this before. Finally, we went around the corner, and to my surprise, like 6 more imposters dressed like hospital employees were standing there, waiting our arrival. Man, these drug cartels really have things planned out. Amazing. They wheel me next to another bed and hand me over to 6 new torturers. It took them forever to decide who was going to move me from one bed to the next, so I said, I got this, and moved myself. Well, some of them got nervous about me doing it myself and said, listen, Doc, you guys are too slow. Y'all got to hurry this up. I have a 10:30 a.m. tea time. At which they laughed and said I wasn't going to get there. I said, well, I went out by Wednesday, so let's move this along. At this point, the 4 original bandits took off with the bed and fled. I assumed they were off to make their quota for the night and needed to search for their next victim. Over the next 2 days, I was poked, prodded, and juiced with a lot of good stuff, man. I haven't felt like that since the good old 70s. That's how I knew it was the drug cartel related. They even went so far as to put a tracking device in my upper left chest area. Sheesh, this big old lump sticking out of my chest now. It looks like a boob job gone bad. The guy who did that operation came to see me Monday night and said, "You're one tough SOB." I just said, "I want out by Wednesday, so do what you have to do to get me out." So he put the tracking device in me on Tuesday, and I escaped on Wednesday and went directly to the police station to file a kidnapping charge. At first, they didn't believe me until a report came in stating about a dog almost being run over about 2:45 a.m. Monday morning by a maniac driver in an ambulance. Dog only had minor injuries. Is that true? The dog only had minor injuries, but the old man walking the dog will be in a full body cast for 6 months, they said. Then they believed me. These imposters to this day have not been identified. I have been placed in a witness protection program and had to move out of state until they are apprehended. Please be on the lookout for a big guy with grenades and disciples following dressed as EMS. Please help. When the doc looked at me and said, "You're one tough SOB," I looked at him and said, "No, the 6 that brought me here are. They have dedicated their lives to save others. They start each shift not knowing what they will face, but no matter what, they must be ready. Years of education, years of dedication, sacrifice of many things, and challenges of split-second timing could mean the difference between life or death. They don't have the luxury like you do to schedule their day. They respond immediately to an unknown event. They don't do the same thing each and every patient. They are the tough SOBs. I thank the 6 of you from all of my defibrillated heart. The doc's conclusion was that my VTAC came from the first Pfizer COVID shot that I had gotten, but it doesn't matter to me. The only thing that matters to me is that all of you know how grateful I am for your professionalism that you possess. In a dire situation, you remained calmed, knew the protocol, and didn't for 1 second give up on me. Most people don't stop and think about how you guys go on a call. You basically go in blind. You have no routine. You only have responses. You saved my life. You brought me back. And I still want a rematch with the big guy who stuck a grenade up my butt. No grenade next time. Just a hug and a handshake with all 6 of you. God bless you, and I hope that life brings you as much joy as I still get to receive each day.